Hey guys, I'm back with just a quick tutorial on how I do my foundation on an everyday basis, especially now that it's summertime, just keeping everything really glowy and bronzy. So I'm going to start out with obviously a hair flip, and I'm going to go in and start color correcting with this e.l.f. concealer in Ivory, and I'm going to go under my eyes, on top of my eyelids, my chin, the top of my nose, the sides of my nose, just to cover up any kind of redness or discoloration that I think is probably going to shine through underneath my foundation, just to keep things from getting too cakey. And then I'm going to go in with my Badescu rosewater spray after I've blended that out, just to make my skin kind of tacky for the Tarte foundation I'm about to use. I'm in the shade Fair Beige, and this is the Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Foundation. And I just squeeze out a little bit on the back of my hand, and it is quite moussey, so I'm just going to take my finger and dot it all over my face instead of picking it up with my beauty blender every time. And I just go section by section because it does dry really matte. So I'm going to go ahead and start blending that out on my forehead, kind of taking it up to my hairline to make sure there's no harsh lines. Then I'll dot it all over the center of my face and kind of start working outwards, making sure to blend it out with my beauty blender before it starts to get kind of tacky, taking it kind of down my neck and getting into all those places where I can apply that e.l.f. concealer. And then I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild concealer in Light Ivory, and I'm just going to apply that places that I want to highlight, not necessarily to conceal, but like on the sides of my nose where I have a little more redness shining through, and I just want to make sure that that brightness matches under my eyes where I'm going to take it. And I do take that on top of the lid as well, just to make sure that I don't have any veins or anything poking through. And I do take that down quite far on my cheek to make sure I don't have like that circle just underneath my eye. And so I'm just doing that on the other eye, taking it on my chin, highlighting, taking it down my nose and on the sides a little bit, making sure to blend it out really well. And then just up on my forehead to continue brightening. I think I got a little bit in my eyebrow there, but we'll pretend it didn't happen. Just blending that out across my forehead. It does give a little bit more coverage, but nothing crazy. Then I'm going to go in with my NYC setting powder. This is just in the shade Translucent, and I'm just using this to kind of bake the areas where I applied that kind of creamy e.l.f. concealer and then that Wet n Wild concealer, just to make sure that it's not going to stay tacky or stay any kind of wet throughout the day, and to make sure that everything stays directly where I put it. And so I'm taking that on top of the lid, under the eye, kind of packing it on pretty thick. It is translucent, so it's not going to give any more coverage. And then I'm going to take it down on my chin where I get oily. And then I'm going to take it on my nose, where that's probably the biggest place that I get oily. So I packed a lot on there. And then up on my forehead, because I also get really shiny there too. So I'm just going to kind of use it sparingly on my forehead so I don't look exactly how I look right now, which is like Casper the Ghost, but just let that sit for a little bit. And then I'm going to go into my brows, which I do off camera, but I just wanted to show you guys what I use. I use that pomade in light brown and this Ulta Beauty Ultra Brow Slim Pencil, just to kind of fill them in and give them some shape. And then I'm going to go in and dust that powder off and start in with the Ulta foundation in Fair. And this doesn't give a whole lot of coverage, but it does make sure that I don't have that white cast from the NYC powder. So I'm gonna take that all over my cheeks, all over my face, really concentrating on making sure that white powder is gone. And then you'll also see me take it down my neck to make sure that there's no like start and stop in the coloring of my foundation. And this is just the brow gel that I used to set. It's also from Ulta. It was clear, now it's kind of like blonde-ish colored. But that's what I use after I've gone in with all the powders to set my brows. And then I'm going to take the Wet n Wild contouring palette. I take obviously the contouring shade. And I'm going to take that. I'm not really bronzing with this. I'm just kind of hollowing out my cheekbones. And you'll see me take that like back towards the hairline, because I don't want like just a straight line. I want it to blend pretty well. And I'm also going to go in with some bronzer after this, so when I want to make sure I'm laying a good foundation down. So I'm just going through my cheekbones, up my hairline, and then I'm going to go in with the TheBalm Bahama Mama bronzer and just go in a little bit higher than where that contour was and just bronze up the skin. And I use this almost like a first blush on my cheeks just to make sure I get that like sun-kissed, you know, warm kind of tone, not necessarily like a straight up bronzed face all over. And then I'll take it on the tip of my nose, on my chin, where the sun would normally kind of tan my skin a little bit, and then down the sides just for a quick contour with whatever's left on the brush, and down my jawline. And now I'm going to go in with the lighter shade, which is almost like a banana powder in that palette, and I'm just going to cut that line underneath where I contoured and bronzed so that I don't have bronzer like falling all the way down the sides of my face. And this powder is really, really great for this exact purpose. And then I'm going to go in with the E.l.f Illuminating palette. It's got 4 different kind of highlighters in there. And these are my favorite ones to use on days where I'm just not feeling eye makeup and I just kind of want my skin to look cohesive and kind of just naturally glowy instead of like blinding highlight. And these have the most natural finish in them. I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick it up exactly like it looks in person, but it's not going to be like a blinding highlight. So I just apply that on my cheekbones, kind of blending in where my blush is going to be, my cupid's bow, the highest point of my chin, down the nose, and then I'm going to go in with this Wet n Wild blush. And I'm going to take this on an e.l.f. stippling brush because that's my favorite way to apply my blush. And just kind of marry that between my highlighter and my bronzer and contour, just to make sure. This shade is really great. It goes really well with that bronzer. It's going to make sure everything kind of blends. And there's not like, I like to keep my blush kind of back where my original bronzer was. And then I'm taking that highlighting palette into my inner corner and onto my brow bone as well. Just kind of making sure that I don't have an outrageous amount of highlight on my cheekbones and nowhere else. Just making sure that it's there on the highest points of my face. And here you can see kind of like what I was talking about, how everything kind of just melts together. And instead of looking like a straight up contour, a little bit of space where there's just plain foundation and then blush. And then I'm going to go in with my Urban Decay setting spray and just kind of give myself a quick bath in that. And I'm going to try to hopefully not make any facial expressions while I'm drying it. Everything's looking exactly how I want it to, so that's good. And this is going to be the final look. It's obviously not the most natural look in the world, but it's the most natural way to do your foundation, contour, highlight, and everything at the same time. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any requests that you'd like for me to show you something, just leave them down in the comments or message me on any of my social media sites, and I'll see you next time.